Hello, I hope you are well. Thanks for being here. I'd like to talk to you about practice today, as in what we practice in our daily lives. Are we practicing to attain? Are we practicing to liberate? Why are you practicing? That is a question to sit with for yourself. The answer is your lesson. There are a lot of things going on in the world, and we choose what we focus on, what we gossip about, what we talk about, how it flows and where it goes. We decide what we give power to. Recently, a Native American medicine came up for me of the horse. Horse. It stands for power, according to the Native Americans, which I am part Native American as well. So that is why I bring this up. But the horse stands for power, hence horsepower in cars and such these days. It's remembering the true power of our wisdom, the true power that we stand in. The things that we give power over us end up ruling us. There was recently talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, and there was a lot of talk. I chose not to participate in that talk. I understood it was happening, but I chose not to give an opinion or gossip about it because enough people were already doing that. The Buddha taught idle talk and chatter and gossip is not the way. And it's because it keeps your mind going and going and going, and it blows things up. We as a society, we look to those things of violence. Yes, we're outraged. Yes, we're entertained. Yes, we're upset. But when we give it power, and we give it power, and we give it power, it only blows these things up. It is not the solution. The solution is healing. The solution is sitting with it and seeing what comes up. When something like this happens in society, what comes up in you? How do you react? Can you look at that without having to put your 2 cents in right away? Is it not better to be free than to be right? This is a major lesson, and it is not done so easily. The practice of the way, the middle way, is something we must cultivate for ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us. I listened to a song recently that said something about save me and will you be the one to save me? But the only one that can save us is us, ourselves. Yes, we can look to others. Just as bananas ripen when they are closer together, we do ripen when we have people who are like-minded, practicing mindfulness and supporting us, such as a Sangha. You ripen together. But you have to actually do the work yourself to even get there, or to even see that it's in front of you. And then when it is, you have to remember to be grateful for that moment. to have this opportunity to cultivate this in this life. Because this is not the end. There is more. And we see it as, this is it, this is our life. But there's so much more beyond this incarnation. And that is what we need to look into. But we do it from a standpoint of now. The Buddha was asked before, about past lives and such. And he said, if you want to know those things, look into now. Focus on your life now. It's very important to live in the world, but know that you are not of the world. When you are of the world, you are a shape of the society. You are a shape of the conditioning. When you are in the world, you realize that you are emitting a frequency out into the world to help all sentient beings, to help all people, to help the earth herself, to help anyone and everyone that crosses your path. The other day, there were some geese crossing the road, and even though I was in a hurry, I stopped and I let them cross the road. Because it felt like the right thing to do. And even though I thought I might be late for something, it didn't matter, because taking those extra few minutes so they could get across the street safely, it mattered. It's those little things that we do on a day-to-day basis. Those little things really do make a difference. When we care. Form is no other than emptiness, and emptiness is no other than form, really means that we are living in this world. And when we cultivate ourselves, we cultivate for all. We admit that light that will help others, even on levels that we can't fully understand. And that's okay, because you can feel it, so you do it. There's a Zen master named Dogen. He taught no thought. So basically, that means not getting wrapped up in our stories, right? Getting past all the noise, all the chatter, all the gossip. Realizing that we don't have to take those things in, but we can support them. We can support them by admitting our own light into this world. We can do that in silence, or we can do that with words. Most of the time I do that in silence. Right now I'm putting words on it. We tell ourselves a lot of stories. I used to tell myself I was broken goods. Many years ago, I wrote a poem about it. I used to write such writings, and when I did some deep healing work, I pulled out all those old writings and I read them. They were dark. I was a child. Where did all those feelings come from? Where did all those thoughts come from? So much was arising in me that I didn't understand. I was confused. I got in trouble as a child. I did things I didn't understand fully why I did them. I just did them. It was ignorance. It was manipulation. I hung around a lot of older boys. Got me into trouble. And I'm the one who chose to do what I did, and I take responsibility for what I did. I made those choices, even though I was young. I forgive myself for those choices. And I forgive myself for the stories that I told myself about those choices. Because those choices, they are in the past, and this is now, and this is what I have been cultivating, and this is why I share it. So, what can we do with those stories in our minds? Some stories help us, some don't. So, now there was just talk of a man who plowed through multiple people, maimed, hurt, killed people in a Christmas parade in Wisconsin. That just took place. There are comments of let him rot. There are angry comments of, I will never understand why they let him out since he was bailed out a few days earlier. There's anger, there's upset. A man who was there commented about he was holding a child's head who was bleeding out of her ears and her mother was screaming, and he found his family and they were safe, but we need to pray for those who weren't. And that should be the focus, not the hatred toward the man who was in so much agony and suffering himself that he decided to make such a rash decision. What is going on in his mind? It is something to feel compassion for. Just as it is important to feel compassion and send prayers and support for those injured and killed. That is not a pleasant situation. But fueling it with more hate, it is not the solution, even if that is hard to see. Practice can be difficult because we ask ourselves, why? Why? And then we breathe. The breath. It's very powerful. It lets our mana, our chi, our prana into our body, and it helps us expel that which does not serve, stagnant chi that we don't need in our body. If we want optimal health, we focus on this. We focus on the breath and where it goes in the body and how it moves through our meridians and acupuncture points, how it grounds us, how we receive it, and how we give it. We look at these things. We watch the breath. We watch our ways. We watch our thoughts, our words, our actions, our behavior, our attitudes, our character. We watch. Because when you watch, things change. And when you change, you grow. So in Zen Buddhism, a lot of it is about, it's looking at the mind. Someone asked me recently, well, what do you do in Zen? Well, mainly, we sit with our mind and we watch it and we bring it back to center. We chant, we have Dharma talks, and we have community. And we support each other. And that can be done without words. Much of our communication is body language. But this goes a little bit beyond that. So we let the thoughts come and we let the thoughts go. It's monkey mind. It is the practice of the way. We let the thoughts come. Let's say I'm starting to think about what I want for lunch and how much it'll cost and where I will go to get it. And then I'm starting to think about my grandfather and my past history with him and how I could have done better for him. And then I start thinking about what I need to do this day. What do I have to get done? Who do I need to call and email? What do I have to do in my house? How do I pay my bills this month? All these thoughts just start running in and rushing around. And you think to yourself, wow. And you come back to center and you let them pass. And you just watch. And how you view things and what you tell yourself changes. And how you deal with those matters changes. You're able to stay balanced better. You're able to deal with things better. Because Zen is all about spontaneity. But you achieve spontaneity of appropriate action after cultivating and understanding yourself, accepting yourself, and letting those things that do not serve you pass you, returning to the center. You may call it Source, you may call it God. Call it what you will, as long as you do it. That's the important part. It doesn't mean you don't feel. I feel much compassion for what happened in Wisconsin, and I will focus my light there to support. I will not focus my hatred because it will not support, even if it is painful to think that this is what somebody did. So try not to take yourself so serious, because when you do that, you're not letting the clouds pass in the sky. You're trying to control. Trying to hold a cloud in the sky, it's impossible. The earth is always moving. The clouds are always going. They make new forms. If you did try to grab a cloud, would you be able to hold it in your hand and hang on to it? I don't think so. It would evaporate. And one day this form will too. But before that happens, let us fully live. Some of us walk around like mindless zombies. Some of us, and probably all of us, are doing our best. There is no judgment. It's just a matter of looking at yourself, making the time to do so. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, start anywhere. I once heard, if you don't have time to do it, it's probably even more important to do it. So what can we do with those stories? Well, if you have trouble letting them go at first, maybe try to replace them. If you think, let's say I'm not good looking enough. A lot of people have problems with body image. Maybe you could tell yourself, I am beautiful. And you can cultivate your body. That doesn't mean become obsessed with your body, but do little things. Go for a walk, go to the gym, ride a bike. If If you can't move so well and have mobility issues, do a shake weight in your seat. Try to stand and stretch. Yoga, qigong, anything, body movement. If you're angry, maybe you can counter that with kindness. Like when you notice that you get angry and you're upset, what can I do to change this? How can I transform this? Maybe you could go through your closet, find some old clothes or new ones that you just don't wear or haven't worn in like a year and give them away. Donate them. Maybe you could go help somebody make their food, get their mail. Do something kind to counter the anger that you feel. Allow yourself to feel it and then replace it. You know, same thing if you're feeling greedy. Maybe go give something away. Some of those stories are useful, and some of them aren't. Some of them can be very harmful. And after a while, you let stories go, and you see deeper and deeper and deeper. Parasamgate. Gate, gate, parasamgate. Go beyond. And when you get there, keep going. We choose where we place our attention. And where attention goes, energy follows. I heard that in Unity churches often. Where attention goes, energy follows. It sounds so simple, but it's so true. If we focus on the negativity and the hatred and the upset we feel for that man who hurt those people in Wisconsin recently, that's where our energy goes. If we focus on filling the people who were hurt with love and light, compassion, wrapping them in the grid and love, the net of light that's all around us at all times, if we connect to that with them and send them our love, our energy will go there. This is why prayer is so powerful. This is why so many people believe in prayer. The power of the mind. If you knew the power of your mind, you would never speak a negative word again or have a negative thought, because you would realize the power. Just like that horse running. Picture a horse running down a beach with all its power, so strong. We have power of this magnitude. I've heard so many stories of people saying prayer works because they ask so many people to pray for them and things change. Because we send our energy in the consciousness. It's like we are one big body. And when we see the world like this, we realize, it's a teaching from Shanti Deva actually, we realize that we want our whole body to be well. We don't just want our leg to be okay and our arm's not okay. Well, that won't work, will it? I mean, you can make it work, but it's probably not pleasant. But you can make the best of it. But if you don't have to, why choose to live that way? So look at everybody as a part of you. If you make another feel comfortable and happy, well, that's helping a part of you as well. If we can understand this simple truth, we can change this world for the better. We can fill more love in our hearts and everyone else's. So it is. One way of doing that, you can say metta prayer, which is just, may all beings be happy, may all beings be well, may all beings be safe, and may all beings be loved. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. I'm wearing this Om here on my head. This was actually a sash that I had from a long time ago. And I decided to paint on it and stick it on my forehead. But it is a great thing to chant. This Om stands for different parts of our consciousness. And it's a very powerful sound. So if you'd like to do it with me, to send it to those who need it and yourself, please feel free. I will say sometimes I chant that better than others. And right now I am pretty thirsty, so I should have probably had a drink before doing that. But it's okay, because that's what came out. And that's okay. And it felt good. Another thing we do is we chant Buddha's name. You can say Namo Amitabha Buddha. We can say Namo Amida Butsu. Same thing. Or you don't have to do any of that. You can make up your own thing and just send the light out into the world. It's powerful to connect with the Buddha because he is an ascended master who lived on this planet. And that's what the ascended masters have done. They live on this planet and they go through this life and they cultivate and they cultivate and they cultivate. One thing that Buddha did was, walked away from everything. His whole life, he gave up sexual desire, which was thrown at him. He gave up luxury, he gave up his clothing, he cut his hair, he gave up his throne, he almost died because he thought he should just not eat and just meditate. He learned that wasn't really the way and decided to eat. And how fortunate that he did, because his teachings still resonate today. And sometimes we have to take time to ourselves to really uncover what's there. It's easy to just keep going. Oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm going on vacation, I'm taking a trip. Well, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it because you're not used to being still and having a moment to sit with yourself and figure out yourself, and you're running away from feeling pain or struggling by consuming, many of us do that. So if, we don't want to feel something, or we're feeling depressed or sad, we just start eating. Might just start eating a bunch of sugar. Oh, there's a piece of pie. Let's have some ice cream and whipped cream, and let's do that twice a day. And oh, a box of cookies. Let me eat the whole thing. It takes power to stop yourself. And you realize how much better you feel when you don't run away and consume, run into consumption, instead of sitting and looking at your mind and yourself. Yeah, it might hurt, and it might be difficult. But past that, it is better than anything you could take and consume on this planet. It is the truth, and it is the way, and it is an experience that I wish upon you always and always. The first Zen ancestor, Bodhidharma, he sat in a cave and stared at a wall for a long time. In Zen practice now, many practitioners stare at the wall for part of the meditation, or if not all of the meditation. There isn't much to see in the wall, but you might start noticing every little crack and detail. But there is a lot to see in your mind. I ask you to explore it and ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? This is a Watto, and it generates great power. A lot of us have that question to ourselves, but we may never actually ask it, even if it is present in our subconscious mind. Perhaps try to ask. See what comes up. This brings me to the thought of unconditional love. Who am I? Am I what other people define me as? Am I what someone tells me I am? Who am I? There's a powerful mantra by the Summit Lighthouse. I am that I am that I am. I am that I am that I am. Now, we don't really want to focus on the I so much, but the power that presents can be great as well, because I am that I am that I am. You are this eternal being, a spiritual being, having this human experience on this planet. You are not just this physical form. Even if you do get wrapped up in the mundane life and your 6 sense portals, you can call those home to yourself, home to your true nature, so that you may go home when this life ends. Unconditional love. It's not just doing for others because they're in your proximity and you want them to share the joy with you. It's doing for others even when they're not by you, even when they don't know that you're doing it. It's just doing it. That is unconditional love. To give without receiving, well, maybe not wanting to receive or craving to receive, because there is always an exchange of energy. And if you give, you are automatically receiving, even if you aren't aware of it. But that is not the intention. The intention is to solely give, even if it doesn't benefit you. Just do it anyway, because it benefits all of us on a much deeper level. Even if it doesn't benefit your instant gratification or satisfaction. Sometimes things come out and, I don't think about it as much, and maybe I should. But I try to just let it flow out of me. This is what's coming up in me now, and this is what I wanted to sit and share with you at this time. So let the old karma run its course. When we get upset and frustrated, it's old things coming up to let go and release. If we see it that way, it's easier not to attach to them and just let them go. And when we let them go, we can make better choices in our everyday lives. The spontaneity of Zen. When we practice this way, it's like LeBron James shooting a basket and making it over and over and over. The spontaneity of him just being able to do that. Well, he's practiced it for a long time, and he's cultivated it for a long time. And the spontaneity of our minds to be able to go into that place of unconditional love is something that cannot be destroyed or created because it already exists. But it is something that we cover up. And all we have to do is remove the layers that are covering the truth, our true nature. Thank you for listening. May you be well. May all beings be well. Let's do one more Om, and then we'll go. Thank you for listening. You are love.